All right, Bobby, you're our intro guy.
Every day is a national day. Welcome to Today Is, a podcast about what today is. I'm Bobby Barker.
And I'm Joey Nickel.
And welcome to our podcast, Today Is. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, the reverb.
Yeah, that's...
I just remembered that this mixer has effects, so we can talk like we're in a cavernous place.
Hello. I don't have to pretend.
You don't have to pretend to echo. It's a real echo.
I'm not used to that.
Check. Yeah. Anyway, that'll get annoying if we keep doing that throughout the episode. It's probably already annoying to everyone but us. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast. Let's talk about last night.
Yes, last night was a fun show.
Yeah. I had a great time last night. Now, you had a bunch of people there.
I did have a couple people there.
How many people did you end up having come?
It was... I think 7.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
So your wife and your son were there?
My wife, my son, my mother-in-law, my wife's good friend, her daughter, and I think there were 2 other people that my wife knew and invited and weren't sitting with them. So, yeah, I loved it. My wife's friend named Jenny hadn't seen me do stand-up in a long time, so it was nice actually showing off a little bit, like, hey, I can actually make people laugh.
I know, and you had a great set too. It was really fun. I feel like you're very good at stand-up.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it is one of the things that I have been trying to work on a little bit.
I don't know why I said that, because you're not. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. No, I don't know why I said it like that. I'm trying to say, like, I don't know. You like every set I've seen so in the last couple months has been very good from you.
Thank you.
I've very enjoyed your sets the last couple of months, and it was a good show. It was a good crowd. That place has turned into a very good comedy show.
Yes.
You were at the first one.
Yes, I was there.
It was a little rough on that first one. You didn't stick around though for my set on the first one, did you?
I didn't. I did have to head out early, so
yeah.
I feel bad, but yeah, it was. It's a fun venue. The ownership's good. The food's good. The
food's great.
The crowd is good. The only issue is some of the acoustics, but you're going to have that.
Yes,
different
I
places.
do feel like I got the best setup that I could on this one.
Yes.
I changed the way I set it up. I used a mixer this time too. Last time I had been just using speakers and plugging directly in, and then daisy chaining it to the other speaker. But I also had the speaker in the middle of the room. I had one speaker in the middle of the room and one speaker at the front of the room.
I saw that.
And by front, I mean where everybody was facing.
Right.
And I did that for the first 2 episodes. Not episodes. I almost said episodes. I did that for the first 2 shows, and it was fine. But I changed it so that both speakers are at the front of the room, and it's so much better. Yeah. Like I felt like it kept, and I noticed that not a lot of people were sitting beyond that section that were there for the show. The people who weren't there for the show were sitting beyond that section. And I'm like, well, I don't even care if they hear the show then, so I'm going to keep the speakers at the front, which he told us that they're actually building a half wall in between those 2 sections.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
By the time the next show happens. So it'll really be separated then.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is great, I think.
Yes, and this place, it's a new place. It's not a chain at all.
No, it's a one of one, and it's only been around for about 6 months.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I've been in there, and just a handful of times, maybe 5 times total.
Yeah.
And the menu's been slightly different each time.
They've been tweaking the menu. They tweak the menu here and there. It's very good.
It's excellent food.
Like sourdough pizza and like tater tots with they have this. They have something called poutine. It's not the poutine you get at Canada. They call it something poutine. I forget, but it's tater tots and cheese curds with mushroom gravy.
That's phenomenal.
And it's delicious. I got it last night. I brought it home last night, and me and my wife had it. My wife loves that dish there. And then we got the hot honey pepperoni pizza. I brought one of those home too.
Yeah, those are
really good.
Hot honey pizza is one of my favorite. Hot honey on pizza is phenomenal. I'm sad that was not around when I was a child because it's so good. But my family's not a huge fan of that. They tried it. They're not big on the honey, but they're like, it's great pizza. We just don't really like this one thing.
This isn't even a food episode.
yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Bobby, by the time people hear this, you'll have been already surgeried.
I will have been surgered. Yes, I am just a couple days away from bariatric surgery.
You will have been surged.
Yeah, they're gonna cut out like 90% of my stomach, and then I will slowly starve for the.
Do you
next
get to
6
keep
months.
it?
I'm going to ask that question because I would like to turn it into a hat.
Yeah.
Like this is my leather hat, leather made from internal organs.
Or you just keep, like, you go to eat, you eat as much as you can, and then whatever you can't fit, you just put in the external stomach.
Ooh,
for
nice.
later.
Yeah,
You keep it as a pouch to save food for later.
That would be great for
Let it serve its purpose.
A doggy bag,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
This is my could be like a cow and have extra stomachs. That seems less flattering.
Mm-hmm. How big do you think your stomach is at this point?
I don't know.
Ask them.
I will.
Ask them to measure it when they pull it out. I want to know how big it is, because like as fat guys, are our stomachs bigger? Right. That's got to be it. Right.
I think as fat guys, our stomachs are just slightly bigger, but most of it is the fat on the outside of the stomach.
That is true. Yeah. There's good. Yeah. But it's like I want to know. Like ask them to measure it or weigh it. Ask them to weigh your stomach.
Ooh.
Or ask them to, like, before you go in, just be like, hey, I just want to know how big it is. I've got this podcast called Today Is, and it has nothing to do with the topic, but we want to know how big your stomach is.
I want to know how big my stomach is today. Today, my stomach is this much.
Yeah, exactly. So stay tuned for next podcast. You might learn how big one of Bobby's organs is.
Right,
so.
Right. That came off.
Yeah,
like, that does not
internal
sound,
stomach.
Yeah,
we're talking about the stomach.
This is a family-friendly podcast, so we're going to leave the "how big is your organ" talk to someone else.
So my voice is a little low today. My voice is a little shot today because yesterday was Friday. Okay, yesterday we had the show, which is a late show. It starts at 9.
It starts at 9.
So I didn't get home till 11:30, and then we stayed up eating that hot honey pizza and the poutine, and we watched an episode of The Floor. Have you seen The Floor?
The Floor is one of our family favorites.
It's great. I love The Floor.
Great
it's
show.
So stupid.
I am not good at it because I'm not good with most pop culture things. Like I see somebody, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the faces are not good.
Yeah,
I have trouble with that. I have trouble with the faces, but I'm good with the other stuff. Like I'm good with like. There was one like it was like farm stuff. Like,
yeah,
that was easy.
I was pretty good there.
Oh man, they had one. We've only watched the first episode of this season. We watched the whole last season, which, by the way, last season the person who won had played like one game or something, right? Remember that?
Yes.
It was like she swooped. She did not play the entire game, and then she swooped in at the end and won. Oh, I was so mad about that. It was so unsatisfying.
Sometimes you got to be lucky
because this one guy played like 20 beat like 20 people.
Right.
And he was on for like multiple episodes beating people. Then he just got beat once and he was out. Like that's the problem. That's the thing about this game. Now, they did add the rule that if you win 3 in a row, you get a bonus 5 seconds.
Bonus 5 seconds.
So I think they recognized that they weren't rewarding people who were good at the game.
Right. Yep.
And so if you're good at the game, then you get an extra 5 seconds.
I think that the strategy on the floor, and this is based upon my extensive watching of the first season and however many episodes of the second season I've watched, I think the strategy is to not play at all if you can possibly not play.
For sure.
And if you have to, you want to end the day with the most so you walk away with something. Because you're probably not going to last until the end.
I would agree. I would agree. I would push for, because there are people last season at least who's saying like, oh, I'm pushing for the whole thing. I don't want to just do the incremental. But if I were playing, I would push to win the day. Yep. Which to win the day, you get $20,000.
Yep.
If you have the most squares at the end of the episode, you get $20,000, or even a split of $20,000.
Yeah,
it would be great.
My goal, if I'm ever on a game show, is to walk away with more than I started with.
Yes,
that is a victory.
Now, have you watched 1%?
No.
So 1% is a very good show. It is a little bit smarter than The Floor.
Okay.
I feel like The Floor is intended for anybody to play.
Right.
Like The Floor is not, you don't have to be smart to play The Floor.
Nope. You just have to know.
You just have to have nerves, basically.
And know the subject.
And know the subject that you brought. Or whatever subject.
Right.
But I think the 1%, it is more geared towards smarter people as you go along. So the premise is, and it's hosted by Patton Oswalt.
Okay.
Which I love, and he's hilarious in it.
Patton's good.
I would not be watching the show if he were not the host.
Okay.
Like it would not be a very interesting show if he were not the host, because he makes fun of everybody throughout the show. He'll do like, okay, after each question, like, okay, let's talk to somebody who got the question right. Let's talk to somebody who got the question wrong, and then because it's a whole group of people, just like The Floor. It's 100 people.
Okay.
It starts with 100 people, and then they he'll be like, he'll talk to them like, how'd you get that wrong? And he'll just make fun of him for getting it wrong because it'll be an easy one or something like that. He's funny, and he's one of those comics. He's one of my favorite comics. I mean, I'd probably put him in my top 5 favorite comics. And if there's a comic that I've always kind of been jealous of or wanted to emulate, it's probably Patton Oswalt. And he's so quick. Like, he's got such a quick brain, and he can come up with just obscure references that are funny. Right. I don't know how he does it. He comes up with like obscure things that like no normal person would think of this. He comes up with off the top of his head, and then it's hilarious. It'll be like, like if he were looking at you, and then he'd say, I don't know, I can't think of anything. That's why he's Patton Oswalt. But I don't know how he does it. It's like teeters that line of like, if he were too obscure, it wouldn't be funny because nobody would get the reference.
Right.
But he's not like if he meets you, he's not just calling you fat. Like he's not roasting you for being fat. He's roasting you for being ugly. No, I'm just kidding. He's roasting you for something. He'll come up with some reference like, oh, what did you just walk out of a Charles Dickens novel with and it's just he just comes up with these things, and it's so funny throughout the episode. But the premise of the show, you start with 100 people. Each person represents $1,000. So you start with $0. Every time somebody gets one wrong, so they get eliminated when they get it wrong. Every time they get eliminated, it adds $1,000 to the pot.
Okay.
And until the very end, and then until you get to the final question, and then theoretically it'd be $100,000 possibly if everybody's out but one person. But sometimes it ends with like 5 people. The last question ends with 5, so they have to split whatever's in the pot.
Okay.
Halfway through the game, everybody's given the option to leave with $1,000. So if you leave with $1,000, that never goes into the pot. So the maximum amount that can be win goes down by $1,000 each person who leaves.
But you're also leaving with more than
you came with.
So
if you're following that rule, leaving with $1,000 is pretty good. I would not leave with $1,000.
I would probably gamble if I was saying, hey, I think I'm doing okay.
Yes. If I felt like I had just gotten to that point by the skin of my teeth, I would take the $1,000. But if I feel like now you can play along. There's an app.
Okay.
And you can play along. You see how you would have done in that episode. One time I made it to the final question.
Nice.
Now you also get a pass, so you can spend your $1,000 too. So you can spend your $1,000 and put it in the pot before you get eliminated, and you get one pass, and that doesn't happen until like 4 or 5 questions in, and then another 4 or 5 questions you get to leave with the 1,000.
Okay.
So you have 2 options, and they only offer you the 1,000 to leave once. You only get that option once, but you can use the pass on any question after a certain point. So you put your 1,000 in the pot. It's just like you just say pass. And the one time I made it to the final question, I did have to use my pass once.
Okay. You know what? I'm about to have like a week or so where I don't have a whole lot to do.
Yeah.
This seems like
This
something
is a
where
good one, yeah.
I'm going to watch.
Yeah, you might want to watch this. It's pretty good. And play along. It's better if you play along.
All right. So I've got to throw this out there because that sounds like a really cool show. I found a show this morning, and I have zero knowledge of it other than the trailer that I watched this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for my family to watch this. I believe the title is, and I might have it reversed. It's Human versus Hamster.
What?
Exactly. All right. So what it is, Sarah Sherman from Saturday Night Live. So she is one of the hosts. I get the impression that she helped create this thing.
Yeah.
It is basically a giant obstacle course that looks like a hamster cage.
Are you racing a hamster?
And a hamster is in a similar cage and going through from point A to point B and having to go through different things. And the human has to go through. And if the human wins, they get $1,000.
Okay.
And if the hamster wins, they get a treat. I assume that they would still feed the hamster even if they didn't get through.
Otherwise, the hamster starves.
Yeah, I mean, it's life or death.
Yeah, if the human wins, they got to get a new hamster because it doesn't eat and dies.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think I want to see that show. It sounds ridiculous enough to watch.
Yeah, it sounds like
sounds like Wipeout. You remember Wipeout?
Wipeout or American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah,
like,
American Ninja Warrior.
Let's incorporate something fuzzy and make this.
Now, did you ever see the Japanese version of Wipeout?
Yes, that was so much
most
better.
Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Yes,
way better than Wipeout.
So much better.
Oh, it's so good the hosts are dressed in full, like, I don't know, like full samurai, like they're all, and with painted faces and everything. It's crazy. The hosts are all dressed like that, but the American, they dub it over in American, and the voices are Kenny Blankenship and Vic Romano are their names.
Yes,
which I don't even know if that's their real names, but they voice it over, and they're hilarious. They make it really funny. And, they make up stuff about the people in the challenge.
Right.
But it's way better than Wipeout. It's so funny.
It absolutely that is the show that I would have on in the backgrounds in the morning when it wasn't like that was back in the day when Sports Center was like the most important thing to watch in the morning for me, because that's where you got sports news.
Yeah.
So once the internet started like picking up, I started getting sports news there. Most Extreme Sports, most
Extreme Elimination Challenge.
That would be on in the morning.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I could just have something ridiculous on.
It
TV.
was on Spike TV. No, what was the name of that channel? It like went through several versions, that channel, but or G4. Something like that. Anyway, some cable channel picked it up here in the United States, and it was very good. I used to watch it all the time.
It was like that. They had that and the one Average Joe, where they tricked the guy. It was like at the height of reality shows and tricking somebody into doing something where everyone's
remember that genre of like trick reality shows?
Yes,
those like. There was like a good 2 or 3 years where there were like 10 of those on the air where you're trying to trick everybody. Either you're tricking the contestant or actually, speaking of shows that are tricking people, reality shows that are tricking people, have you seen Jury Duty, the TV show?
I have not.
Great. A phenomenal show. I'm not giving anything away because this is the premise of the show, but everybody in it is an actor except one guy.
Okay.
So everybody has been selected to be on a jury, right?
Right.
But one guy is not an actor. Everybody else, and it's all fake. It's in a courthouse that doesn't. It's not an active courthouse. They turn it into. They film in this courthouse. Now he knows they're being filmed. He thinks they're doing like a documentary series
like court TV or something like that.
He thinks it's like some sort of documentary series about being a juror. But what he doesn't know is that they're all actors, the judge, everybody, and he's on the jury, and the case is wild, like it's really good. And James Marsden, do you know who that is?
Yes,
Cyclops. And,
yep. James Marsden.
He is in it as James Marsden. So like it's just the premise is James Marsden gets picked for jury duty, and the guy's like Cyclops, and he's like and then they become really good friends in the show. And then it's this whole thing. So like he's the only recognizable face in it. Everybody else is like an actor. They're all great actors, but they're not really well known or anything, because otherwise that would defeat the purpose of it.
I just want to see this end like a rom-com where the one guy who's not an actor is like, James, we were friends.
Yeah, I know.
And James,
I thought about that too.
And he just like, look, it meant nothing to me. You are my friend. I don't care about this show or this jury. I just want to be with you. And then they end up like sharing a condo together.
Yeah, right.
I would love that.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, boy, they're really getting chummy. I'm like, I hope he doesn't get mad if he's not his friend after the show. Like it was kind of funny. But it was very good. I would recommend that. It is the peak of like fake reality tricking somebody genre, I guess. That is the best one.
Nice.
I think it's really good because it also was quite endearing. Like it wasn't like because he was a genuinely good guy. The guy involved. The guy who wasn't an actor. If the guy had been a jerk, it wouldn't have been a good show, I don't think.
Right.
Because then we wouldn't have rooted for him. We wouldn't have been rooting for him the whole time.
I think that is one of the things that is missing in a lot of casting is you have to have somebody that you're going to root for.
Yeah, you got to have somebody you can... I think the problem is so many people want anti-heroes or whatever. They think the public wants anti-heroes or like flawed heroes. And I just like there's certain shows where I'm like, now to be fair, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is hilarious,
amazing. It's
one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and there are no good people in that show.
No, zero. Like the only good person on that show was ruined by them. It was Cricket.
Oh yeah, Cricket was a good person.
Yeah, he
and
was.
then they completely now he's a drug addict.
Yes,
If you're a good person in that show, you definitely get punished.
Yes, yeah, you.
It is.
They hold it against you, but
it is not good. Although I would say if we're picking one out of the group, Charlie, maybe
Charlie's a good person.
Is a good person, but only because I think his flaws are that he's innocent. So like his flaws are that he's too dumb or too innocent. And so, like, he gets pulled into doing bad things, and he thinks. I think Charlie's the only one of the group that's like
redeemable.
Redeemable, yeah, I would say Charlie's the only redeemable character. The rest of them are pretty low.
Yeah,
Mac is dumb too, but Mac's I don't know. Mac is manipulative, and he doesn't know he.
Right, but he does have he has a moral compass that
Mac or Charlie?
Mac does.
Yeah, that's true. Mac does kind of have a moral compass. He changes it all the time.
Yeah, but it's there. Dennis, zero moral compass. Zero.
Dennis is by far the worst of the show.
Yes,
for sure. He has no moral compass.
Yeah, it has been implied on the show he's a serial killer.
Yeah, right.
It
and it's
sense.
Believable.
Yes.
Yeah, Dennis has no moral compass. I mean, what's Danny DeVito's? Frank has no moral compass too.
No.
But Frank is too chaotic to actually get anything done.
Yes.
So like Frank is kind of harmless almost. Yeah. He has no moral compass, but he has also no wits. So it's like he's a little bit harmless, whereas Dennis is intelligent. So like he has no moral compass and he's smart. He is really a sociopath.
Yes. Frank, there was an episode where he had a head injury, but he does actually have all of the signs of somebody who's had a traumatic head injury.
Yeah.
Because he comes back in, and then he was a very successful, rich person. And then he's like, I'm just going to hang out at the bar and be a complete. So he's got all the signs that something happened.
Yeah,
some traumatic.
At some
event.
point, he became what he is now.
And I root for it.
And he's great in it.
Yes, I love
Danny
it.
DeVito's hilarious in that. It's a good show. If you're a child, don't watch it.
Never watch that show as a child.
If you're my kids and you're listening to this episode, which I know you are, don't ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Until you're 34.
Yes. And then you can only watch the episode that is about Family Feud.
Yeah, that's a good episode too.
It's one of my
the
favorites.
Family Feud episode. They they're doing a crossover episode with Abbott Elementary. Did you hear about this?
I did, because I watch It's Always Sunny regularly.
Yeah, me too.
And my wife watches Abbott Elementary.
You haven't watched Abbott?
I've seen a couple episodes. It's good.
I love it. Me and my wife watch it together. It's The Office. It's this generation's Office.
Oh yeah,
it's really good.
It's a great show. I just haven't had time to sit down and watch it. Yeah. And my wife is actively watching it, so I don't want to just jump in with her.
That's true.
So,
but yeah, maybe when you're laid up, catch up on Abbott. It's really good. And the person who made it is in it. She stars in it, and she created the show, and she won an Emmy for it. I don't know that she won the acting Emmy. She won, I know, the writing Emmy for it. And then the other. There's it's kind of an ensemble cast, just like The Office.
Right.
But the person who plays the older kind of mentor to her, she won an Emmy for it.
Okay.
And she's great in it. I think they all got nominated at some point.
Right.
At a various season.
The one guy who is in Everybody Hates Chris.
Yes, yeah, he's in it.
It's sad that I say that I don't know his name, but I've seen him in 3 shows. I've seen a couple episodes of Everybody Hates Chris. He did fantastic. He was in The Walking Dead for a while.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
And he was really good there.
He's really good in that. He's a good actor.
And then this, he's great.
Which he was. I don't know how old he was when he was in Everybody Hates Chris, which he played Chris Rock in it.
Right.
Which is funny. But I don't know how old he was in that. But, sometimes child actors kind of fizzle out or don't do well when they become adults.
Right.
He seems to have adjusted very well.
He's
and now maybe he wasn't a child when he did Everybody Hates Chris. I don't know. Maybe he was just an adult that looked like a kid, like Ralph Macchio.
yeah, could be, because Ralph Macchio still looks like he's younger than me.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio has just aged slowly. It's so crazy to think of that. Ralph Macchio looked like he was 16 when he was 24.
Ralph Macchio might be a vampire.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He's in his 60s, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm in my late 40s.
Macchio?
And he was.
Yeah, he's got to be in his 60s, right?
I watched The Karate Kid when I was under 10.
I bet Ralph Macchio is older than Mr. Miyagi was when they filmed Karate Kid.
He absolutely is. He's got to be.
Look it up. Look it up real quick.
Okay.
I bet Ralph Macchio. Okay, what's your guess on how old Ralph Macchio is?
I'm saying 60.
I'm going to say 62. I'm going to say he's over 60. I'm going to say 62.
Okay, so Ralph Macchio, and it is slowly trying to pull up here. And the thing is, my wife and I are going to watch an episode that's got him on it. It's called David Chang, Dinner Time with David Chang on Netflix.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's actually a pretty good show. Huh. He's a Michelin star chef, and he makes food.
Is it like interview style, or they just eat food, or what?
So it's interview style. He gets two celebrities, and he makes a meal for them while they just chit chat.
Oh, okay.
And
did you ever watch Dinner for Five, or is that what it was called? With Jon Favreau.
Yep.
I really liked that show.
Yes,
it wasn't on very long, but it sounds similar.
Yes, yeah, and so it is similar. And when he has comedians or actors on there, they'll talk about what they're doing, and it's. I'll have
to watch it. That sounds good.
You were closer. He's 63 years old.
63. So he's even older than we both guessed.
Yes, he's.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, how old was Pat Morita when Karate Kid came out?
Okay.
I'm guessing he wasn't even 60. I'm guessing he was in his 50s when Karate Kid came out. I'm going to say 58.
Okay. So I found something here. This is 3 years ago. It said Pat Morita was 57 years old when
57?
When Karate Kid 3 was released.
When Karate Kid 3 was released? So he was like 50 when the first Karate Kid was released.
Ralph Macchio's age in 2021 when Cobra Kai was... It might have been out for a year or so at that point.
Yeah, Cobra Kai's been going on for a while now.
Yeah, he was 59 then.
I can't believe he was so he was probably like 50 when the first Karate Kid came out. Ralph Macchio is 13 years older than Pat Morita was when the first Karate Kid came out. And do you remember Pat Morita seemed like he was so old he was going to die soon. Like that's how old he seemed to me at least, to a kid. Like Pat Morita seemed like the oldest person in the world when he did Karate Kid. And he was played up as this old, because it was supposed to be surprising when he was actually good at martial arts.
Right.
Like you're supposed to be surprised when he was able to defend himself, because you're like, oh, he's this old, decrepit man who can also fight. It's like the guy was only 50. The guy was only like a couple years older than you.
Right.
It's
like that is legitimately how old. Like that's close to like people in the NFL.
I know there are people in the NFL in their 40s.
In their late 40s.
In their late 40s, yeah. That's crazy.
Not many, but
yeah, that's crazy to think that man, I don't know, Ralph Macchio. We got to study him. Okay. There's a short list of people who just don't age or sometimes get better looking as they age.
Yes.
Like definitely Ralph Macchio is one of those.
Right.
John Stamos. I don't know how that guy stays how he is. And I don't think it's plastic surgery, because usually you can tell.
Yep.
Usually you can kind of tell when people have had work done. Or if they have had work done, I want to meet that doctor, because you can't tell at all.
No, it is that is
Have you seen Sylvester Stallone lately? He looks like a Muppet. Like he looks. Sylvester Stallone has a new show, it came out a couple years ago, but
like Tulsa King.
Yeah, King of Tulsa, and he doesn't look terrible, but his cheeks are like puffy now, and he's like having like his lips like he already had trouble talking, right? Yep. He already was almost unintelligible, and now it's worse because of his puffy face. So it's like you see that it's very popular to do that these days, but like I don't see any of those signs in Ralph Macchio or John Stamos. I think they're all natural. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is
he's an American treasure.
Insane how little he's aged. There's a picture. His son is on Instagram or something, and there's a picture of him and his dad, and he's like, I know my dad looks like he's younger than me, and he does. He looks like
it's just really, really weird.
Speaking of the floor,
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe looks like, I can't believe how well he's aged.
Yes,
it's crazy. I don't know.
And then there was a show that had his Park and Rec's castmate Adam Scott on it, and Adam Scott is aging terribly.
Oh, really?
Yes,
he's probably aging normally.
Comparatively
compared
speaking,
to Rob Lowe.
He's still he looks like Adam Scott. Like he looks healthy. You can just looks
tell
older.
He's aging. Have you seen Severance?
No.
Severance is really good. You got to have Apple TV Plus though.
Yeah.
But
we had to cancel because
Severance is very good.
Okay.
That's Adam Scott. It stars in that.
That's the one where he separates life, his work life and home life.
You go to work and then you're at work and you have a separate consciousness for work, and then when you exit the building, so for your consciousness, you'd walk into the building and then walk out of the building. That's it. That's all you remember is walking in the building and walking out of the building. While you're in the building, you have a completely separate consciousness. So, and it's not that you don't remember. You're not even you. You have a separate identity while you're there because you have to be able to remember what you did the day before, right? You have to remember everything. So they actually create a separate consciousness in your brain, and you don't remember anything about your life outside of the office. Now you still talk, you still know how to do things. You just have no knowledge of the outside world. How would you feel about that? What if you got offered a job where you had to do that? Which the assumption is like it's some sort of national security or something where they don't want people to know.
No, I don't think there's.
Now here's the plus and the minus. Here's the plus. You don't have a job, basically. Like you live an unemployed life, but you get paid for it, basically. To your memory, to your consciousness. Now you lose 8 hours every day.
Yep.
Your life is shortened by 8 hours a day. But you don't have to bring home stress of work. It's basically like you don't have a job and you get paid for it. To your consciousness.
No, that would be a hard no for me. I think my consciousness, my soul, nope, not splitting it. I don't need a Horcrux. No, thank you.
It's good though. It was a very good show. The first season, the second season's coming out soon. But it was very good.
I've heard good things about it. Now, I will say, if the money started going to a point where my family would be taken care of for generations,
if it's good enough money,
I'd probably sell myself.
I'd probably think about it if it was good enough money. But that does sound terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not something I would want to work.
And there are moral implications. Like people protest it and stuff. They're like, you can't do this. This is not moral to do this and stuff. A bit of housekeeping. This has been sitting here since our fast food episode.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot to bring it up. This is a Whataburger container. This is what salads come in at Whataburger. And we never brought it up, but I have kept it. And this is, so if you want a nice container, get a salad at Whataburger. That's another shout out to Whataburger. I think Whataburger may have won the episode.
Simply because of that.
Well, because of this, but like I remember when we were talking about like our favorite fast foods, I think Whataburger. If you consider Whataburger a national chain, it is the best national chain, in my opinion.
It's up there. I like it.
What do you think is the best national chain? Did you say it? I can't remember if you said it on the...
Well, I asked if Culver's was considered national.
Oh, yeah, Culver's. I forgot about Culver's.
And
yeah, that might be a national chain.
If it's national, that wins for me. If not, I do actually default to Wendy's.
That's right. We talked about that. They do have I do like Wendy's.
Yeah.
All right.
Burger and chili. So.
We are already 37 minutes into this podcast, but that's okay.
We don't even know what today is.
Today is...
It's something. Today is happening. And
today is Black Friday.
Yeah. Black Friday.
So I decided to sell out and do the Black Friday episode. I thought it would be good publicity because it'll be it's a recognizable day, Black Friday.
Yeah.
And it's not and it is in line with our theme, which is not real holidays.
Correct.
It's like Black Friday is not an actual holiday.
Right. And I think it's very important to point out it is not racist in any way.
No.
No, not at all.
It just happens. It's Black Friday because it's called that because it's the day that businesses try to go into the black.
Yes.
In their books. So they try to go into the black and try to get above before Christmas comes. They try to get a little last minute sales for the year. Now, Black Friday, what's the best thing you ever bought on a Black Friday sale? Let's think about that.
Oh,
what's the best deal you ever got on a Black Friday sale?
I don't even know.
All right, I'll give you a minute to think about it. When I was in college, my Black Friday thing was DVDs.
Okay.
So I would buy blank DVDs or blank CDs on Black Friday. Those are not even used anymore. My son found a spindle of blank DVDs. I'm like, what are these? My 14-year-old was like, what are these? And I was like, oh, they're blank DVDs. why would you need blank DVDs? It's like, well, that's to copy stuff onto, or blank CDs. It's like, oh, you burned music on them. If you want to make like a mix of music, because you mean like a playlist, like a Spotify playlist, you put it on a CD.
But what if you needed more?
Yeah, he could not wrap his head around this physical media that we
Right.
used to have to use. But they were always the cheapest on Black Friday. It was the one genuine sale that I thought was not a scam, where it's like sometimes Black Friday, it's like, yeah, it's cheaper, but it's also cheaper. It's like
Right.
it's also a terrible product
Right.
most of the time. But these were, I would get a spindle of 100 every year. I don't even know what I was using them on. I used 100 CDs every year, or DVDs. I'd like alternate. Like sometimes get the 100 DVDs, or sometimes I get the 100 CDs. And sometimes I would go to Circuit City. That was my go-to. Remember Circuit City?
Circuit City, yeah.
That was my go-to Black Friday. I'd ride the bus to Circuit City, get 100 CDs or 100 DVDs.
Okay.
Now, DVDs I would use because I was a film student. So I would put my submissions for stuff on DVD.
Right.
You couldn't submit stuff online back then. It wasn't common practice to give your professor a thumb drive.
Right.
Like if I were editing a video together, I would have to put it on a DVD to give it to them to submit for a grade.
Yes. Yep. I do remember those days. I have turned in a DVD or a CD-ROM, or CD-RW, read write.
The RW supposedly were rewritable,
Okay.
but the technology on that never really worked well. Because it was like they were rewritable, but then you could only, my understanding of it was, you could write on it, and then you could only then view it from the same computer or something. There was always some catch to a rewritable CD,
Right.
and it got to the point where CDs were so cheap that they were disposable anyway. So like I don't think anybody ever really utilized the rewritable part of a rewritable CD.
Yeah, I just know that it had that on that notation on there. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever do that.
I always just, because a rewritable CD, once you can finalize it and then it becomes a regular CD. You can't rewrite then. After that, once you finalize it. So like I never really utilized the W.
Okay.
The RW, the rewritable.
Yeah.
CDRs. They were CDRs and CDRWs, and it was like I never used the W.
So, I can say I don't think I ever really had a huge Black Friday deal. However, my wife, when we first got married, and the older kids were younger, and Amazon wasn't really a thing. I mean, it existed, but it wasn't like it is now. Online ordering. That is when my wife would go out and actually camp out, and she'd go to the store at like midnight on Thanksgiving, and then get like one or two things that she knew the kids wanted, or like the one big present for both of them, and then that was it. That was what she would do. So once we started getting like the Amazon Prime, like we kind of cut that out, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, I've got more experience on the retail side, actually working on the stores.
Oh, you used to work stores on Black Friday?
Yeah.
Oh boy, you know what? This is another episode we could have had Marcus Crespo on.
Yes.
Because Marcus Crespo was a mall security guard, and I got to imagine Black Friday was the worst day for him. It's got to be. I mean, where did you work when you were retail?
All right. So my retail experience, thankfully, much better than most other people. I worked at the Hoover store, which sells vacuum cleaners. Right. So we had great sales, but no one cared.
Yeah, I know it did. It's not like Walmart or Best Buy or something. It's
Right.
like, yeah, nobody cared.
But we worked at outlet mall. So I worked at an outlet mall in college, my last year in college in Grove City, Pennsylvania. And then I worked at one down in St. Augustine, Florida, same company, just moved there after school. And that's where I worked. And so we had to be there because it was like, hey, it's the outlet mall. We're opening at like 7 a.m. or something like that.
That's the downside to Black Friday. It's like, You always have to put in more hours on Black Friday, or at least earlier hours than you normally do.
Yeah, but for me, it was like, hey, I'm showing up at 7. I'm drinking coffee. People are walking by. Occasionally, people are stopping in just because we're there.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like the store feels a compulsion to open.
Yep.
Even though there's no point. They probably lost money in opening because they had to pay you to be there.
Yes. Yeah.
But nobody bought anything probably.
And then the great marketing strategy, like, hey, this is an outlet mall in the north part of Florida. So people are stopping in, coming from vacation or to vacation.
Yes.
One of the last things they want to buy is a vacuum
cleaner.
Right.
Nobody's buying a vacuum right before they end their vacation, their Thanksgiving vacation.
Yeah. So like, yeah.
I
mean, it was a good place. Yeah. Enjoyed good company, but
I bet the outlets are terrible, though. I bet it's terrible. Those St. Augustine outlets are already hard to navigate.
Yes.
Because there's like one in and one out.
Yep.
Of that area. There's the two sides. There's like on each side of the road, there's two different kind of outlets, but it's like there's only one way into that parking lot and one way out, right? There's like one entrance. Yep. So I bet it's terrible. I bet it makes it even worse on Black Friday.
Oh yeah, it was just awful.
Do you think it's like that anymore though? Do you think people still go out to Black Friday anymore?
I don't. I don't think
the last time I went out for Black Friday I did go out, I think 2 years ago. So not last Black Friday, but the Black Friday before that, I went to, so you know how, you remember when there was that supply issue because the ships didn't bring the stuff in because of the Cuban Missile Crisis or something? I don't know. I don't know what was, I don't know exactly what was happening, but for some reason, nobody was getting their stuff for a while. So all these stores had problems. Well, the government came in and helped out with some of these stores, right? They came and offered incentives and loans and bailouts because it was beyond their control. And some people might even blame the government for what happened. Not on this podcast, but some people might. And so the government kind of stepped in and gave people some money, gave some larger businesses some money to make it through that period. Well, then the supplies came through. So, then they got their supplies. So, GameStop missed out on their Christmas supplies, right, for 1 year. Then they got them all. So, they had all this huge overstock of stuff that they had planned on selling over the Christmas season. So, they had it for the next Christmas season, way too much. So, they put tons of stuff on clearance and dropped it all by 50%. Nice. So, it was like everything on clearance was 50% for the 3 months there, the last 3 months of the year. And then on Black Friday, they did a whole release of a bunch of stuff is going to go on clearance. So I went out at 6 a.m. to GameStop. I went to 4 different GameStops on Black Friday at 6 a.m. and got Christmas presents for all my kids. Because they had all these toys and all these video games and stuff, just tons of stuff that was a fraction of the price because it was on clearance and then 50% off.
See, that makes sense. That's nice. That's awesome.
So that was the last Black Friday thing I did. I love sales. I love getting things for cheaper than I should.
Oh, yeah.
It is one of my favorite things to do in life, and I don't know that I'll ever reach the high that I got getting those GameStop stuff. Right. I spent so much money on GameStop. I spent that year, I remember adding it up, and it was probably $300 on GameStop stuff, which I would not have spent if the stuff wasn't on sale. I wouldn't have even spent the $300 on GameStop stuff, but it was so, and then it got to the point where I couldn't stop buying stuff because I was like, this is such a good deal. I got to keep buying it. And then I would collect sets of things, of toys at different GameStops. And then it got to the point where I talked to my dad. I was like, hey, do you have presents for the grandkids yet? And he's like, not really. I was like, I got them all. I got you all the presents for the grandkids. So nice. I spent another $300 on grandkids presents. Now my dad has, I don't know, at this point, I think 15 grandkids.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I got stuff for everybody. I was like, I got it. And then so it, I don't know that I'll ever attain that high again.
Right. Yeah.
Because let's say I get rich, let's say I get wealthy, and I can spend and all the money I want to spend, right? Let's say that's the case, and I go on a shopping spree.
Right.
I will not have the same satisfaction of it because I know I'm not getting a deal, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
The getting the deal is what was the high. Like knowing that I would, even though I was spending $300, I was getting like $700 worth of stuff for the $300.
More than 50%
Yeah,
off. Oh,
because
yeah,
it was clearance and then 50% off. Knowing I was getting such a good deal on it was the high, was the benefit. And it's not, and GameStop's not like other stores where you go to some stores and it's like, oh, this is on clearance, okay, but it was already overpriced. You know, sometimes you get that. GameStop always priced their stuff at the low market value, meaning like, okay, at the Walmart price. So like Walmart always prices their stuff at the base market value.
Right.
So like you go get a toy. So McFarlane toys, if you buy them directly from McFarlane, go from usually like let's say it's around $20 if you buy it directly from McFarlane. If you buy it from Walmart, it's $20. If you buy it, from Target, it's $20. It's always going to be that price. That's a standard price. You go to a comic book shop, they're selling it for $25, or you go to even Best Buy sometimes, they'll sell it for a little more. So certain places will sell it for more. You go to the mall, you probably pay also $25. But GameStop sold their stuff at the Walmart price. So like you could get it for $20 at GameStop too.
Right.
So then when they put it on clearance, let's say they mark it down to $15 and then it's at 50% off, it is a true deal because they're not marking it up like crazy anyway. So it's since they don't mark it up, you get it for such a good deal.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I obviously do not do the gaming or the toys as much as you do, but I'm.
What makes you say that? As I sit in front of a life-size Darth Vader and life-size Stormtrooper. You guys can't see it, but right behind me there's a life-size Darth Vader and a life-size Stormtrooper. So,
just a guess on my part.
And a Master Chief helmet behind me over here.
Yeah. But yeah, I have been very fond of shopping at GameStop when I've gone there for those reasons.
Yeah, and like GameStop, and I hope they don't go out of business because I love GameStop. GameStop is one of my favorite stores, not just because it has the stuff I want, but I like that they don't overprice things. They're very good about having things on sale. They're always trying to sell stuff.
Yes.
Like, sometimes you go into a specialty store like that because they're not I guess they're kind of mass market, but they're not like, it's more boutique than they're not Walmart.
No.
They're a small shop. It's never a giant store. They're always small shops, and they feel neighborhoody. Because it's always local people hired at these places.
They found their market niche.
Yes,
and they're sticking in it.
And I hope they stick around because they almost got run out of business.
Yes,
by hedge funders. And then the GameStop community, not the employees, the people who love shopping at GameStop were like, you can't do that to our GameStop, and then bought a ton of stock, and all of those stupid, evil hedge fund people lost millions of dollars.
Billions.
Billions of dollars, which is one of the greatest stories of the American people. Like one of the greatest American people stories I've ever heard was the saving of GameStop. And if you've never heard of this, and I don't know how you could have not heard of this, if you're listening to if you have the ability to listen to a podcast, you probably have heard of the GameStop thing. This was what, 2020, 2022?
2020 through 2021.
Yeah, something like that.
2021 is when it super took off.
I can't believe they saved GameStop was going to go out of business. They were going to declare bankruptcy and go out of business basically, and then the public saved them. They're like, you can't do that to our GameStop, and then saved them.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar, there's a great movie on Netflix about
that's right. I forgot
called
about
Dumb
that.
Money.
Yeah, Dumb Money. Yeah. So that it's one of the greatest American stories of the last 5 years is the saving of Gamestop. I think
it had cultural and
it had so many
implications,
and people realized, people's eyes were opened about the stock market and about hedge funders and stuff like that, and people exploiting companies. People didn't even know this was happening, but it had already happened hundreds of times, thousands of times. People had over, had. There were people destroying companies over this and making money, profiting off of the destroying of companies for decades until they finally, now people know about it. Now people know that's what's happening out there because of GameStop.
Right. Well, yeah, it was one of those things where I don't know if they're actively trying to destroy it, but they're betting that
they're betting on its destruction.
They're
and
betting
they profit
it goes
off
down.
of the destruction. Yep. Oh, it definitely contributes to the destruction of the company.
It influences it.
Yes.
When enough people bet against something, it definitely influences the outcome.
Which is why Mike Tyson lost. What was I going to say? Oh, so the moral of the story: don't mess with the things nerds love. Like,
unless it's Star Wars, apparently.
Yeah, unless it's Star Wars or Marvel. Unless you're Disney. Unless you have enough money to keep hemorrhaging money, then don't mess with the things nerds love. And you think Disney would have learned by now?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not the topic today, but
it's.
You think Disney would have learned by now not to ruin things and to listen to the fans? To be fair, you got to know which fans to listen to.
I think that's it.
Star Wars fans are the most toxic fans of all fandom, by far. Star Wars fans are so toxic that they bullied the creator out of liking Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like George Lucas left Star Wars because it was too toxic for him.
George Lucas, I don't think anybody can convince me differently of this. George Lucas changed the plot because fans did not like Jar Jar Binks.
Yes. His plan for that.
He was supposed to be a Sith Lord.
He was supposed to be a Sith Lord. George Lucas has always enjoyed Japanese filmmaking. Like his movies, people say they're westerns, like it's a space western, but they're not really. They're space samurai movies.
Yes.
So like if you're a fan of old samurai films, that's where the whole showing up in the middle of so westerns had this, and then the samurai films were the same. The samurai films they used to call them easterns sometimes.
Yes. Yep.
But like the samurai films have the same plot. Two people face off in the town square kind of thing, but instead of guns, it's swords. That's how a samurai plot works.
Yep.
Jedis were samurais. That was the point. He was making that style of film in a space film, so it has a western feel to it, but it was more intended to be a samurai film, which is also the same plot of most westerns. So that's why it feels like a western. And one of the tropes isn't the right word, but one of the plot lines that these samurai films would use is they'd get an idiot. Like the beginning of the film would have an idiot, and he would follow the heroes around and be annoying to the heroes, and then you'd find out at the end of the film that he was actually the mastermind, that he was a bad guy at the end of the film. That was like a big thing, and it was a big plot twist that they'd always do. That was the plan for Jar Jar Binks.
Yes. Yeah. And there were enough clues in the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
That showed that where that was going.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much backlash on Jar Jar Binks that they changed the plot.
He changed the plot, which would have been awesome.
It would have been fantastic.
That would have been awesome to find out Jar Jar Binks was just at some point in the movies pulls out a red lightsaber. Like that just the contrast of that. But it was so bad that he basically wrote him out of the subsequent films.
Yes.
He was in them, but not very long. The actor who played him almost committed suicide because he was so this was like pre-social media too.
Right.
This is just people on the internet saying how terrible he was, and in person telling him how terrible. They all hated the actor. They blamed it on the actor, and then he was,
which is absolutely wrong.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. And then he almost killed himself because he couldn't handle it, and he became depressed. Eventually, I do feel. Have you seen Mandalorian? The whole thing
of Mandalorian. I saw the first. Yeah, I think I'm caught up.
So like season 3 of Mandalorian, they do redeem that actor who played Jar Jar Binks. They bring him back to play a Jedi.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
in season 3, I think it is. And so he gets the chance to redeem himself in the Star Wars universe.
I'm happy about it. I'm
Yeah.
happy I know that now.
Yeah.
That actually made my day.
I think that's good for him, and
Yes.
he's obviously come to terms with the fact that he played Jar Jar Binks,
Right.
and he still does his voice every now and then. He'll still play him in stuff. They'll throw him in a Lego movie or an animated short or something like that, and he'll play him every now and then.
I mean, money talks.
Yeah, but I'm very happy that Jon Favreau brought him in.
Yes.
To play a Jedi, so that the actor himself could kind of redeem himself within the Star Wars universe.
You know what? You just mentioned Jon Favreau for the second time.
That's true.
This
That is
episode,
true.
and I think it's important to point out. I think Jon Favreau might be one of the most important people in Hollywood.
I agree, although I don't even know if I'd classify him as Hollywood. Like, he's not. That's why he's so good, though, is because he's kind of outside of that cog. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of outside of the Hollywood machine. He brings his own thing to his projects, which is why they're successful, by the way. Yeah. And I realize he is Hollywood. I realize he is. But he's not he's not the typical cookie cutter Hollywood machine. I think that's why he's successful, and that's why they brought him in to do Iron Man. That's how it all started with him and Disney. They brought him in to do Iron Man, and now obviously Kevin Feige has done a ton, and everything through the Clone Wars kind of helped to save the Star Wars universe, but without Jon Favreau, I don't think the Star Wars universe would be redeemable at this point.
No, I do. I've got to ask, just because I hadn't heard it. Is that how you say that last name, Feige?
I think it's Feige.
Okay.
I think I've heard him. Not him. I think I've heard people interview him and say Feige.
Okay. I've said Paul Feig, but
I think I said Paul Feig until like 6 months ago.
Okay, and I would like to apologize if I'm mispronouncing, because I would like a job, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Yes, please hire us, Paul, if your name is pronounced Feige or Feig.
I will pronounce it correctly.
We will pronounce it however you want, even if it's incorrect.
Yes.
So
I will call you sir.
We'll call you whatever you want.
Yes, sir.
It is 2024. You can choose your own name at this point. But I do think it's Feige.
Okay.
I don't know. People out there are probably going crazy if I'm saying it wrong. Yeah. People are yelling at their radios. They're yelling at their phones.
They're yelling at their ear pods.
They're yelling at
into the sky.
Yeah, into the sky. It's pronounced Feig.
It's Smith.
Yeah, it's pronounced. Yeah, it's pronounced George. I think it's Feige though.
Feige, okay.
But I like everything I like everything Jon Favreau has touched in the Marvel or Star Wars universe.
It's not in those universes, but it's directly related because of why. Have you ever seen his movie Chef?
Yes, Chef is great.
Oh, that is.
It's really good, and he stars in it.
Yes,
and what's her name? From Modern Family.
Oh yeah.
Sofia Vergara.
She's
in it. She's very good. His son, whoever plays his son's great too.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.'s
Robert
got
Downey
a quick
Jr. has a cameo in it. That's a good movie.
He made that movie because Hollywood was forcing him to do stuff he didn't.
Yeah,
like.
It's an allegory. It's an allegory for his career in Hollywood. It's really good. It's really good. And what's his name? Dustin Hoffman is the restaurant owner in it.
Yes, and Oliver
Platt is the reviewer. There's a lot of famous people in it.
Oliver Platt was the guy who I think had me place a bet on who the next great American actor would have been.
Oliver Platt.
When I was like a teenager, I would have put money on Oliver Platt.
Oliver Platt was great. He was in. He had a show for a while, a hospital show. He was a psychiatrist at a hospital.
That rings a bell.
I don't know. I've never seen the show, but I keep seeing it on TikTok. People put clips up.
Right.
Because he always has shows like that. It's always about interesting cases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a good show, and he was also. There was something else that I really like. One of those. Something else I really liked him, and I can't remember what it is. Anyway, yes, he's a good actor. I like Oliver Platt a lot. Black Friday. All right, let's do a couple Thanksgiving things. Favorite side dish.
Oh,
By the way, the side dish is the main event.
absolutely.
Like the existence of
100%.
side dishes in the Thanksgiving dinner, side dishes are it.
Yes.
The turkey is a second is a backseat to the side dishes. Turkey's not a great thing. Turkey's dry. It's like you gotta make a lot of effort to make the turkey taste good.
My view of turkey on Thanksgiving is it tastes good, when it's mixed with stuff, but the reason I want turkey on Thanksgiving is so I can have a turkey sandwich the next day.
The point of turkey on Thanksgiving is to have leftovers of turkey.
Yes, and
you make some turkey salad.
Oh, yeah.
You make some turkey sandwiches. Yeah, great. I love the leftover turkey more than the turkey itself.
Absolutely.
Now, day of, my brother-in-law usually smokes or fries a turkey, and that's always better.
Yep, it's good.
One year, I made a good oven turkey. One year, me and my wife, we brined it for like 48 hours before. Then we cooked it in the bag. You cook it in the bag in the oven. You get an oven bag, and you cook it upside down.
Yep.
That was the best I ever got it. In fact, we forgot about it because we had 2 turkeys that year, and we ended up eating the other one. And then we forgot about a turkey, and we left it in the oven, not like cooking. We left it warming in the oven in the bag.
Right.
Then like hours later, we pulled it out. The best turkey I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
It had just been sitting in the juices and was very moist. It was very good.
That sounds like a great sandwich turkey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was good leftovers later.
Yeah.
Best turkey. Otherwise, like if you just cook a turkey, or even if you baste, they always turn out dry and just not and flavorless. But you got to do a lot to a turkey to make me like it. Day of. If I'm eating it the day it's cooked, it's got to be fried. It's got to be seasoned. Like it's a Cajun turkey. I like a good Cajun turkey.
I've always wanted a turducken.
They are not good. I've had turducken.
You've had turducken.
Yeah, they're gross.
I still want one. It's meat stuffed with meat.
I know.
With meat stuffed with sausage.
Yes. It sounds on paper like you want to eat it, but we had a turducken one year, and I think the problem with a turducken is the styles of meat. Now, chicken and turkey are very similar, but duck is like
it's greasier. It's definitely greasier.
Duck is more like duck and turkey are like the difference between pork and beef, I would say.
Okay.
So like pork and beef, if you're eating beef and then you throw a pork chop in there, you're gonna be like, what is this thing? If you have like 5 steaks and then you make a pork chop with the steak, you're gonna be like, this seems kind of like a steak, but it's not. You're not gonna like the pork chop if you're expecting steak.
Right.
That's how a turducken is. It's like you're eating the turkey and the chicken, and then the duck is just such a different texture and flavor and fat content that I think it ruins the experience. So I'm not a fan of turduckens. I've only had one. I've only had one, and it was sent to my father as a gift from an employee or something like that, or a client. They sent him a turducken, which is weird.
That is
it's a weird thing to get sent.
My father-in-law used to get turkeys from his employer like twice a year.
Twice a year?
Like, yeah.
I could kind of see like an employer being like, okay, I'm giving everybody turkeys this year for Thanksgiving.
Right.
Fine. But like it was like a client or something that sent him a turducken. It was so weird. It wasn't from his employer. I don't know. It was weird, and it wasn't good. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so favorite side.
I don't know if I can, if like the one that I usually make and I usually get the compliments on is the green bean casserole.
Did you know that nationally is the number 1 side?
I did.
That's insane to me because I hate green beans.
See, I love it.
My kids love green beans. My wife loves green bean casserole. I do not.
Yeah,
I am not a guy who likes green bean casserole.
But like if I'm going to choose a favorite, like that's probably the standard side. It's not something we've had all the time, but we've made a roasted Brussels sprouts, like it's got like a casserole, like kind of cheese.
That sounds like something my wife would like.
Yeah, it sounds
I
phenomenal.
also hate Brussels sprouts, but here's the thing: Do you know Brussels sprouts have changed? Did you know about that?
I know.
So when we were kids, Brussels sprouts were bitter. Do you remember that at all?
Yes.
They figured out what makes Brussels sprouts bitter, and they bred it out of Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
So Brussels sprouts no longer have that bitter taste. However, they still smell like diarrhea. So I still hate them because my wife will make them, and I'll be, it smells terrible. I cannot eat it just based on the smell. I've tried to eat it, and it still smells so bad that it ruins the flavor for me.
Yeah.
So I can't. I still am not. And I understand. My wife's like, you got to try roasted Brussels sprouts. They're so good.
So good.
I just can't do it. They smell so bad. They still smell. They don't smell any better than they did when I was a kid. But the bitterness is no longer in Brussels sprouts.
And even as a kid, I liked Brussels sprouts.
There's still people still liked them, but if you're wondering why Brussels sprouts have become popular in restaurants and stuff like that, it's because of that, because they've been altered now.
Okay, yeah, like I knew that they were coming back, and I knew that they tasted different, but I just thought that was people
You getting older.
me getting older and people learning to cook them better.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah. But no, they're actually genetically different than they were.
Okay. I've actually heard the same thing about bananas.
Bananas are the same.
Yeah.
Bananas had to be genetically altered because they were getting they got diseased.
Yeah, it was a disease,
And
like
they had
wiped out all of them.
So the bananas we have today are nothing like the bananas that existed, let's say, 100 years ago.
And my understanding is most of the artificial banana candy is based upon the
old flavor. That's got to be it, because they taste nothing like bananas.
Right, and I hate it.
I hate it too.
Artificial banana.
Our artificial banana flavor, nobody likes it. I don't know why they keep doing it. And it's like, and I heard that too, is that it's based on what bananas used to taste like. So that makes sense, because they taste nothing like bananas taste today. Right. But they are a great source of potassium.
Yes.
They're like the best source of potassium in the natural world. So they had to genetically alter them so that they could be resistant to the disease, and now they're very different than they used to be. Did you know it's happening again?
No.
Yes, so the disease is now happening again with the current bananas, and they're having to do it again. So scientists are getting together, and they're trying to genetically alter bananas again to save the banana industry, which we'll see what happens. Like, we might end up with bananas that are different again, so they might taste a little different than they used to.
I feel like we should have shirts that say "Save the bananas."
Save the bananas.
But I also
you're
feel
gonna get the
like,
wrong message.
that's going to be taken very
let's not
very
do
poorly.
that. Let's not have shirts that say "Save the bananas." That is interesting. I hope we do save the banana. I like bananas a lot, so I hope they stick
a huge
around.
fan.
Good for your muscles.
Yes, and like the one treat that I always get when we go to Disney,
Banana,
frozen banana, chocolate,
Oh, yes.
chocolate covered banana on a stick with nuts.
frozen
on it.
bananas are good. I never had one until I saw Arrested Development. There's always money in the banana stand.
Always money in the banana stand.
Yes, frozen bananas are very good. Okay, so green bean casserole, you're saying, is your favorite side?
Green bean casserole.
Okay, my favorite side is the sweet potato casserole.
Oh yeah, sweet potato casserole.
But it's got to be pretty much dessert. It's got to be. You got to put the brown sugar. You got to put the marshmallows. You got to put the. I think you got to put the walnuts or pecans.
I love the
nuts on it.
I love the walnuts and pecans. I choose the part that doesn't have the marshmallows.
Oh, you don't like the marshmallows?
Even before I was losing weight, I'm not
Really?
a marshmallow guy.
You don't like the because they get like kind of crispy on top. You don't like that?
Nope. I'd rather just have it like as a pie.
Yeah.
With like the pecan
It's
crumble
it's
on
the
top.
cheat code to getting dessert before dessert time, because
Yes.
it's always on the table, but it's like this is a dessert. Like, there's so much sugar in this.
I'm having potatoes.
Yeah, this is now. I do like mashed potatoes. Maybe a close second for me. I love mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes are fantastic.
Especially done well.
Yes.
Mashed potatoes done well.
Yep.
You know, some good butter in there, some good flavor, some garlic in there. Get me some good garlic mashed potatoes. Those are definitely on
garlic,
the list.
heavy cream, butter.
Now, I love cranberry sauce.
It's okay.
I am a big fan of cranberry sauce in all its forms.
Okay.
I like the canned stuff that looks like a can still when it comes out and is jelly. I like homemade cranberry relish. I love it. And I love rolls. And cranberry sauce and rolls are great. Cranberry sauce. I love putting cranberry sauce on a turkey sandwich the next day.
That is very, very good. I think that is probably where most people fail in cranberry sauce because they're having it by itself.
Yeah, no, you got to have it on stuff.
Yes.
You got to have it on. It's a dressing.
Yeah, it is a sauce.
I love it. Now, the jelly, I'll eat by itself, but I prefer putting it on a sandwich or something. Cranberry relish on a good turkey salad sandwich, phenomenal. Yeah. Get the roll, the turkey salad, and a cranberry relish. Can't beat it.
Yeah, cranberry sauce is basically American chutney.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. What's your favorite way to eat turkey? So we're not talking just in general, and we're not talking about processed. So no lunch meat.
Okay.
So what's your favorite way to eat turkey meat?
My all-time favorite thing, and this is something that I have the day after Thanksgiving usually, or the day after Christmas or Easter, whenever we have the turkey, because my in-laws always make a turkey anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But have the sliced turkey breast, so sliced on white bread with some mayonnaise and salt and pepper, and that's it. And it sounds crazy, but that is like
that is the whitest thing,
the whitest ththing. But it is like most of the time,
not even on a roll.
Not even like most of the time. Like I want to have like the hot sauce, and peppers and onions and all that. Mm-hmm. Just one sandwich a year. Like just I just want the turkey, the mayonnaise, salt and pepper.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with, as far as sandwiches, I'm going turkey salad. So mix it in with some mayo. Next day turkey, mix it in with the mayo, put some cranberry relish on it, on a roll, I would say.
Yeah.
However, this might be a tie for me, a turkey leg at a theme park.
Oh, okay.
Turkey legs at a theme park, really good to me. And they're salty. They're like, I don't know how they cook them, but they're roasted and salty somehow.
Right. Yep.
Oh, it's so good. I love a turkey leg at a theme park.
I'm gonna go exact opposite here. Can't stand them.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. Really? And you've had them?
Yep.
Really? Why don't you like them?
It feels like I'm walking around eating a ham.
That would be even better. I would buy a ham.
Yeah, and so
I would walk around and buy a ham and eat it on a shank.
So
I'd buy a ham shank.
I'm not opposed to eating ham. I'm not opposed to eating turkey. I just don't find it convenient or tasty in that moment.
Now I will say, turkey legs, and I don't even know how this is possible. There seems to be like 1 million bones in a turkey leg.
Yeah.
Like when you get one of those big roasted ones, they're like, where are all these bones coming from? It's like, I thought it was a turkey. You get the turkey leg at home. It's not like that for some reason. These are like mutant turkeys they're serving. So it is, once you get down a little further with the meat, it is harder to eat. So that I don't like about a turkey leg. But boy, that first layer of turkey, especially if it's done right, especially if it's barbecued well, I don't know. I love it.
And so like Thanksgiving stuff like that, I will usually be the guy who has the turkey wing leg. Or turkey leg. I enjoy it just at a theme park or a fair. I
love walking around with the turkey leg like I'm some sort of barbarian. Like I'm like a Viking king walking around with my turkey leg. I love it. They're expensive though.
Yeah,
they're expensive.
That also factors in.
Yeah, they're a little overpriced, but I'll buy one every once in a while.
Right. Yeah.
I don't buy them at the fair though. They always have them at the fair.
They do.
Which Clay County Fair, best fair ever. I don't know. I've never been to a better one.
Our fairs here in Clay County, Florida, are
people come from all over the state to come to the Clay County Fair because it's like the best one. And I've been to other fairs. I just nothing beats it. And really, it's mostly about food. But I don't know what it is because it's the same vendors usually. I don't know if they just get more at ours if like they all come out to this one. I don't. I like the Clay County Fair a lot.
Or if it's just the weird mix of where they are setting up and the just magic influence of one smell hitting another smell.
I don't know. I love the Clay County Fair. And one of my favorite things, have you gotten the steak tips at the Clay County Fair?
I think I have years ago. I usually try to get a different thing every year.
Steak tips are my favorite thing at the Clay County Fair. Also, my favorite thing at the Clay County Fair, the donuts, the giant donuts.
Oh, my son got
I think they call them Amish donuts for some reason.
Amish or
Something like
giant
that.
donuts.
Yeah, right. Like I don't know why they call them Amish donuts, but they're big. It's like a Krispy Kreme donut, but big and soft. It's so good.
Yes,
they're so good, and they're even good the next day. Like we'll usually buy 2-3 packs. They're that big. You buy them, and you can't buy you're not buying a dozen of them. They're like each donut's the size of 4 donuts. So we usually get 2-3 packs. We eat 1 3-pack as a family that night, and then we eat the other one the next day. They're good the next day, but they're not good the day after that.
Okay, makes sense.
Day after that, they get hard, but the next day they're still good, and so good.
One thing I do try to get at the fair every year, though, corn dog.
Yeah, corn dogs are good, and they have the giant ones.
And they have the jalapeno batter corn dogs.
Yeah. They do have good corn dogs there. Yeah. I will say that. And they usually have a decent, they'll have something seafood that's pretty good, like some clams or something.
I'd good frog legs.
I had frog legs there too. Yeah, they're pretty good. You still getting that surgery or?
Yeah. I'm still.
Will you be healed enough to eat at the Clay County Fair when it comes around?
Yes, I will still be able to enjoy food, just not anywhere near as much. This is going to be a fun, hard reset.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be crazy for you. All right. Well, we've been going on. We're already at an hour 20.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, we should probably wrap it up. But I will be at that cereal. What's the place called? Cereal Box?
The Cereal Box.
I'm going to do that show next week.
Awesome.
Tonight. I'll be there tonight. Tonight, I'll be at the Cereal Box, the show that J-Paw runs. I will be with Richard Aragon and one other person. I forget. Dang it.
Okay.
I can't remember, but check out my Instagram feed. Check out my Instagram. I'm going to post about it. Facebook, I'll post about it. I should have already posted about it by now. But I'm looking forward to it. You said some good things about it, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's a fun venue, good people, and if you want, you can have some cereal.
And if you're in the Jacksonville area, please check it out. Also, Barley and Pie, it's a great show. They want to keep it going. So we're planning on every last Friday of the month. Next one will be December 27th.
And if you're in the area, just swing by Barley and Pie for some good food.
Yeah, if you want some good food, even if you're not there to see comedy, swing by Barley and Pie. They're great. I mean, technically they're not a sponsor, but they do pay us to do comedy there.
Right,
so.
and it's just good food.
Yeah, it's very good. All right. Well, today is Black Friday.
Today is Black Friday.
Thank you for joining us. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.